What's going on, champs and champettes? It's FireMonkey here, and does this image have any resemblance to any of you guys? Well, if you answered yes, then you're lying. Stop that. Either that or you follow Fortnite leaks. Anyways, actually, maybe I shouldn't have asked that on a Fortnite news channel. Anyways, this right here is a brand new item releasing later this season called a Shock Rock. Now, Epic Games has described this item just as crush 1 to perform 3 midair leaps, but there is some extra pieces of information to go along with it, which is why in today's YouTube video, we'll be telling you everything you need to know about the upcoming Shock Rock in Fortnite. Now, firstly, this has already been seen by the trailer for this season, where we saw gameplay aspects. They typically leak and reveal certain items that won't be releasing right away, but we're releasing later down the line. And the Shock Rock is a directional hopping effect where you're able to zoom forward with a 0-point effect in the air in the area that you want to go, right? So, you'll be able to have a lot of control over the movement with this item, but as you can see by this image of John Wick, you can get pretty high in the air with it. Now, in terms of information we've actually managed to find over on social, or I guess in the files and everything else, we have some pretty interesting things to talk about here. Firstly, this will allow you to leap into the air at least 3 times, but in terms of extra info that was already in the files, it appears that there's a delay of 0.15 seconds per jump, so you can't just spam the spacebar. I don't know if you guys can even hear that, but you can't just spam the spacebar like that over and over and just zoom right through all 3 of them instantly. But also when you're leaping from the ground, so when you're down here, you have half a second of a delay before you can perform another leap. So basically 0.6 seconds after you've hit the ground, you'll be able to jump in the air once again with the Shock Rock system. Now, something interesting to mention here is that Epic Games and the files actually have a lot of talk regarding crushing a Shock Rock to actually use them. However, also in the files is a recharging system, so we're not for sure if when you crush it, it's going to be a one-time use type of thing, or if it's something where it will stay in your inventory and you'll be able to have it just confidently, for the rest of the match. But whatever it is, whether it's a single item that, gets consumed on use, or it's something that does have a recharge, it is set to have a maximum of 3 charges. I assume that's going to be 3 leaps in the air, so you have to wait a little bit after you use all 3 of the leaps before you get more leaps actually activated, assuming it has a recharge system. Maybe it's like a mythic version that actually has a recharge system, which is why we're kind of jumping around in a custom match, because you'll see in a moment with this NPC right here. But it is something to keep in mind. Now, in terms of other things that is mentioned, it is mentioned that when you land on the ground, you'll break nearby builds with your impact. Now, what this means is in a 25-meter radius around you. Actually, how far is that? Okay, no, not 25 meters, but more like this distance in a radius around you, 5 meters in each direction for a total of 25. That is where the whole entire builds that you land on will get destroyed. Similar to, I guess you would say, diving down with the Thanos Infinity Gauntlet or whatever. You know how it would destroy all the builds wherever you were leaping to? That is the exact same system happening here. However, it's wherever you end up landing, causing a little bit of a crater on the ground. Now, of course, it won't leave an actual crater. Maybe it'll leave a little texture or something, but it will destroy the nearby things. Now, there are some other files that mention things such as healing 25 HP when you either activate it or whenever you consume the charge. We're not really for sure how exactly it works as of yet. And there's a mention that during power hours, the Shock Rock will charge 3 times as fast, meaning that whatever cooldown it actually does end up happening, in terms of using those 3 dashes in the air, you'll be able to get that insanely quickly. Now, of course, other than just yapping, we can actually kind of already show you the Shock Rock in game, but we won't be able to use it. So if we go over here to the NPC, the Void Blade, and we start attacking them, and then we get some distance, you can see right there they do a little bit of a jump in the air, and if we get a little bit of distance, they should be able to do more of the jumps. Yeah, you see how they just did a massive jump in the air right there? Well, you'll basically be able to do the exact same system. However, you'll be able to chain it up to 3 times exactly like that, actually. And this is kind of a glimpse on how the Shock Rock system works. However, to add on top of all of it, you'll have little shards of the 0-point or whatever kind of floating around you, so you see how many charges visually you have left. But it's definitely cool to see how an item that you would think would already be enabled if we have a system like this where you can see an NPC using it is unfinished in a way, and the NPC is kind of the only glimpse in game of how the Shock Rock actually would work. Now, of course, you may be noticing they're only using 2 out of the 3 jumps. I'm not for sure if that's because of a distance thing, or if it's just because, the NPC version isn't allowed to be that insanely OP where, a second later on the other side of the map eliminating you or anything like that. but it is cool to see, you know, just how it works in game and to get a visualized aspect of it right there before we actually have it available to us. Now, I think it's going to be a little bit better for the player once it officially does release. The reason I say that is because in the actual cinematic gameplay trailer and everything else, it looks like you had a lot more directional control. It looked like he stayed in the air a little bit longer than how it works there. So it seems like you kind of get like a little bit of like maybe a slow-mo effect in the air once you use it. But of course, we'll be finding out more information as it releases later down the line. Until next time, however, hope you champs and champions enjoyed today's YouTube video. Hope you're excited to see the Shock Rock come to the game later down the line. Let me know if there's any other things regarding the newest update or season that you've seen, like trailers or whatever, but you haven't seen talked about in game yet, that you would like me to find more information on and make a video for you guys. Until next time, hope champs and champions enjoyed. I think I already said that. Like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't like it, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow on another upload. So until then, peace out.